Welcome to the PTTS. Today's date is March 9, 2023, Thursday. My name is Meng Hong Lam. Okay, basically I am like the situations I'm in pretty much like well, I'm making this video for like the previous reasons, like my previous video, even like way past, like many years ago. Also, those videos, it's kind of like I felt I'm kind of like repeating those videos is in a way like I felt even if in this video I'm gonna make, I felt there's gonna be a repeat of the one that I already made. In a way, I felt it's just like this whole pretty much. Okay, I'm just gonna go through what I was saying on the previous video, which titled it the fighting game community brainstorm. So in that one, it's a part 1 and part 2. So in that one, I kind of like, in a way, I was like, I just saying that maybe I was in a, like in a way, like I felt that my status, my build-up status is, no matter how you see it, it's just no way anyone could miss it. You kind of like, in a way, like I've been campaigning since 1993, been serving, like providing service to my community, like as much as I can, like basically, like, but the way because I didn't have really a lot of connection back then, so the only way I know how to provide service to my community was through going to the administration office and going to the principal office, and kind of like mostly at the school campus. Actually, that's all I know, because usually at the school campus, pretty much that's usually at the school campus. It's just rarely outside the school campus. So kind of like, in a way, go to the administration office, go to the principal office, and the principal or the administration office will give me the student service positions to serve. Kind of like, in a way, that's how I've been known. And I felt that because of this whole year after year and been doing it so often, that I felt that it's just so hard to miss it. Kind of like, in a way, like in my knowledge of all the services I provided, I haven't met anyone who as committed as I am, who have provided as much services as I am as like campaigning to rank up my status. From my knowledge, from the people that I live with and that I came upon, making contact with and things like that. That's how I see it. Just like I haven't really met anyone who as committed as I am by providing service to a community. So kind of like, in a way, that's how I've been calling. So I felt that it's just so difficult to miss this. It kind of like, in a way, how kind of it's just all like how it's just no way anyone can miss this. It's just like, because the amount of services I provide to my community, it's just like I just felt that there's just no way. I mean, so in a way that I felt that it's just like maybe people was kind of like, in a way, that it's just like the worst case scenario is, like someone would argue that, I am providing too much services. But that is just, why would anyone do that? Kind of like, in a way, go like providing service is a habit that a person, you kind of like take up a person's time out of schedule to provide the service to a community. Kind of like, in a way, it's just, so kind of like, in a way, it felt like that's not gonna, like, it's not gonna happen, no one's gonna go out of their way to do that and things like that. So kind of like in a way, it's just, so that's how I've been felt. Like it's just no way anyone, it's just could miss that. And also it's like my occupations to the Pro Tour / tournament started on January 1999, and also I've been very occupied by that also, and because of being occupied by that, I have accumulated 199 first places in the Pro Tour / tournament. So those two things, I felt that it's just, there's no way anyone could miss that. It's just like, I felt kind of like in a way, it's like, you know, like I would be very cruel and mean, you know, just saying that a person could miss that, you know, just degenerate, but kind of like in a way a very degenerated person. It's just like, how could you miss that? Kind of like, you know, like I accumulate all the way to 199 first places. I have ranked, like because of my campaigning to rank up my status, I have got elected as the president of the Mesa Multimedia Club. So kind of like in a way, how could you miss that? It's just like, could be very degenerated to a person's, you know, who missed these kind of things. It's just like, you know, it's like, if you miss this, you know, you must be very, kind of like in a way, very degenerated and things like that. It's like, so it felt that it's just very degenerated to kind of point out that, kind of like in a way, you know, to have to point that out to someone. And so pretty much, you know, I felt, but it was on, kind of like on 2011 when my president of the Mesa Multimedia Club, I kind of like in a way that presidency is from 2008 to 2011, that 4 years of time. So kind of on 2011 when it come to an end, so kind of like in a way I was like preparing, kind of like in a way just taking steps. And during that time I felt, you know, like because of this whole argument that it's very degenerating if I have to point that out to someone about my status. It's just very noticeable status. It's like, it would, kind of like if you point out to a person, it would very degenerated that person. It's like, how could that person miss that? It's like, so on 2011 when I was taking that steps, kind of like, I know, and kind of like in a way, and also dealing with that argument, it's like, so in a way, like I remember taking that step, like pretty much at the time, like I got thrown at by my biological mother, Sakya Mahoy, while I was taking that step. Basically, I was just, I don't know, like at the time, I just didn't know, like kind of like in a way, you know, I have the president responsibility and duty, you know, like able to see, correlate, conceptualize this argument, kind of like in a way, it's just very noticeable status, you know, if I have to point it out, it would be very degenerating. So anyway, 2011, remember, it's just like, but I just felt like the worst case scenario, you know, like getting kicked out of my community after have a built up status, and that was like just, it would be very, I'm not ready to handle it. I just concluded I'm just not able to handle that kind of worst case scenario, getting kicked out of my community. That's all, like, you know, like with the build up status. So kind of like in a way, you know, at the time I just wasn't able to handle that kind of worst case scenario at the time, like 2011. So I remember my biological mother, Sakya Mahoy, was groaning at me. Remember, I was just endured and felt like, you know, because I am being very degenerating, you know, wanted to point out my build-up status. It's just like very degenerating to people. And it's like, so 2011, it was just like, maybe it was just like a very, very kind of like a cheesy rip-off comedy reality TV that, you know, my biological mother, Sakya Mahoy, is groaning at me, you know, having the president position and all of that. So it felt like, you know, that's how like very cheesy rip-off comedy, kind of like in a way. It's like, but I was like enduring it, knowing that, like, I have to point out my build-up status and things like that. It's like, so kind of like each time my biological mother, sucking was groaning at me, that's how I was seeing it, just a very cheesy rip-off comedy. It's like, rank all the way to the president positions and have a build-up status and all of that, and getting scrolled at by my biological mother, sucking me, and it was just like, I remember just picturing, like, just telling myself that it's just like a very cheesy rip-off comedy. It's like kind of like a reality show. It's like, but it's just, no matter, how cheesy, how rip-off the comedy is, I just felt that it wouldn't be as worse as the worst-case scenario. There's just no way I could accept that and handle that. It was just like, wasn't ready for that. It's just because of the build-up status I have, the president positions I have, and getting kicked out of my community. Just no way I could handle that. So pretty much, I think that's where it all started. By maybe the whole cheesy rip-off comedy, reality TV, would probably get in the way of what I was trying to say, during those pretty much during that time. That's when I just beginning, just trying to put together the PTTS. It was just at the time, it's just like kind of brainstorming. I wasn't really, it's kind of like in a way, I just wanted to create something that I could able to, have some kind of establishments to point out my build-up status, and in a way so that it wouldn't look so degenerated to my community and things like that. So pretty much like it's like I'm pretty much, like I keep putting my, no matter what, kind of like, even though the cheesy rip-off comedy reality TV is getting on the way, but it's just like, I just tell myself there's no way I could handle the worst case scenario. I was not ready to get kicked out of my community after elected as the president of the Mesa Multimedia Club and have a build-up status and all of that. So kind of like in a way, was just keep telling myself that there's just no way, and knowing that even though I felt that the cheesy rip-off comedy reality TV would get on the way and things like that, but I was just pushing myself to continue on and things like that. So pretty much, like every time, kind of like back then I just call it session. Basically, it's similar to what I'm doing right now, like speaking in front of the camcorder. Back then it was just like open up my laptop and kind of like in a way would. So okay, I mean, I only did record myself 1 or 2 times, like using the webcam from my laptop, but I just basically kind of like just speak in front of my laptop, kind of like in a way look like I'm doing some kind of rehearsing, kind of like in a way. It was just back then. It's just like I felt that I do get a chance. People who kind of noticed it, my build-up status, kind of like in a way, just felt like those are steps I make. Like I'm taking those steps to have some kind of like have the PTTS establishment. Basically back then I just felt like just openly without kind of like just saying like having some kind of establishment is better than having no establishment. So kind of like in a way just want to put together the PTTS to have some kind of establishment. But I remember there was just like each time when I was having those sessions I would get scrolled at by my biological mother. Well, I mean often, but not every time, but often when she saw me doing it, she would find some kind of reason to scroll at me and things like that. But I felt that at least